What's up, everyone? Here with episode 2 of our NFL season preview. Today we're going to go through the Houston Texans. We've already gone through the Jags and the Colts. So, working our way through the AFC South. Hope to get through all these teams before the season starts. Leave a like, comment, what you like, what you don't like. Let me know. Hope to improve with each episode and hope you like what you're hearing. So, last season, Houston Texans, they were in constant flux, especially with the Deshaun Watson debacle that was going on. So that was hanging over everyone's heads the entire season. They drafted Davis Mills before they really knew what was going on with Deshaun Watson. So he had to come in. He got a lot of starting time, especially with Tyrod Taylor being injured. I believe it's a hamstring injury for most of the season. They ended up finishing 4-13. 4-13, kind of what's expected for this team. They're in a state of rebuild. They just kind of want to improve upon what they had last season. They're trying to reestablish culture. They brought in Lovie Smith, which is probably a placeholder coach, unfortunately. Love Lovey, but I mean, I don't know if that's going to be the answer at the head coach position. We'll see. Um, go through a few of their key additions that they had this season. First thing I want to highlight is that they brought in Jerry Hughes. They still got Desmond King. They got Laramie Tunsil. They got Brandin Cooks. They still got some older players that I believe they brought in, not necessarily for them to have a ton of playing time, but Brandin Cooks obviously going to have playing time, Laramie Tunsil, but not Jerry Hughes. To reestablish culture. This is a new team, a lot of young players. They need someone to show them what they need to be doing every day in and out of the facility. So they brought in Jerry Hughes. They drafted amazingly. Drafted Derek Stingley with the third pick overall. Prior to injuries, he had a 91.7 PFF grade, which was the best for a season since 2014 whenever they started recording it for cornerbacks. So, I feel like he just doesn't lose that ability. So I feel like he's going to be a star in Houston. Houston gave up 7.5 pass yards per attempt last year. They were 27th in offensive points per game. I feel like Derek Stingley's going to shut that down, help him improve in that area of the field for sure. He comes in and replaces Lonnie Johnson, who was traded to Kansas City. So definitely an upgrade for sure. They then drafted Kenyon Green. The Texans were 24th in sacks allowed per game last year, 2.6, partly due to the fact that Davis Mills is not the most mobile quarterback. So that's part of the issue there. But put Kenyon Green next to Laramie Tunsil. They could have some improvement. Not the best offensive line, but definitely some. Bring in a franchise player. Somebody's going to be there for 10 years, hopefully, in Kenyon Green. They then go on to, they took him 13th overall. Then in 37th overall, they ended up drafting Jalen Petrie out of Baylor. Lovey loves his DB, so no surprise there that they took someone that early, a little bit earlier than what people projected. But he was Defensive Player of the Year for the Big 12, so he has promise there for sure. 7 pass deflections, 3.5 sacks, 2 interceptions. He's more of a jack of all trades, kind of like Tyrann Mathieu. Some people, bring him in. He could play multiple positions all over the field. He's going to start from day one, I'm sure. So some youth in the secondary, could be some growing pains, but definitely want Stingley and Petrie for your future. You add that in with what may have been my favorite pick for them, which is John Mechie. They got him in the second round, 44th overall. He's going to be an immediate starter in the slot. You pair him with Brandin Cooks, who still has top end speed, even though he's getting older. Brandin Cooks could take the top off the defense. John Mechie is going to have so many underneath routes with Davis Mills, who doesn't really take it down the field too much. John Mechie is going to get the ball. He's going to have plenty of targets, I do believe. He had 2,058 yards since 2020, which was third out of any Power 5 player in college. He just got overshadowed by Jameson Williams last year. So we'll see what he can do. I feel like he's going to be a steal for them, especially at 44. And then they took Dameon Pierce, which could end up being the best running back in the draft class this year. He had a 92 PFF grade last year, which was the best among running backs out of the Power 5 schools. So plenty of promise with these young players for sure. Not many losses this year. They lost Lonnie Johnson, like I said, but they traded him to KC. Mediocre cornerback. They replaced him with Derek Stingley. They lost Justin Reed in free agency. Didn't want to pay him. They wanted to move toward the future. He also went to KC. And then they lost Marcus Cannon. They cut or released him. I mean, it created a $5 million dead cap, but I mean, cap's not really an issue for them this season. They're not really worried about that. Uh, some of the strengths and weaknesses for this team. Strengths is they still have Cooks in the house. To help Davis Mills grow. They hope to get more deep balls this year with Brandin Cooks. It may open him up some more since John Mechie's in the slot. I mean, they have improvement in the wide receiver core for sure. Brought in Philip Dorsett. People still hoping something out of him. Chris Conley, mediocre wide receiver. I mean, Davis Mills, he may have the best skill position groups out of the second year quarterbacks. You look at him, Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence has a bunch of meh wide receivers. ETN hadn't done anything. He hadn't even played. James Robinson's out. When you look at this running back room, they have Marlon back. They brought him in. Rex Burkhead, Damian Pierce. Damian Pierce may come in and be the bell cow for this group. I mean, these guys are older. They brought in Agunabowale from Jacksonville. I mean, he's a pass catching running back. They could get plenty of work from him in the backfield. Davis Mills could grow for sure. Does he have better weapons than the Jets? Yes. Than the Bears with Justin Fields? Definitely so. The Jags, like I mentioned, I do believe he's a little bit better. It could be what and what. The Pats, their offense is going to be miserable. So, I mean, Davis Mills is set up for some success for sure. Just got to go out and prove it. They hope to see growth from Brevin Jordan. They got Pharaoh Brown still, tight end position. So we'll see what he can do. They don't have much strengths, but I mean, that's something I would look at for sure. And then their secondary, their youth, I mentioned earlier, with Jalen Petrie and Derek Stingley, they're going to see what they can do to bolster that secondary. Could be a point of emphasis and hopefully their strength going into the future. Weaknesses, their D line does not look promising. I mean, you look at all these names. I mean, no one here really stands out to you. They did get Christian Harris from Alabama in the third round. Promising linebacker, fell off this year. He was projected to be a first round pick prior to the season, fell to the third round. So maybe they still got something in him, see what they can do. But not promising as far as defense goes. Another thing, it's just youth everywhere. If it's not youth, it's not great talent that's coming in if they are older. So, I mean, a lot of weaknesses. It's very mediocre at best at a lot of positions in this group. So, gonna see what they can do. I mean, 4-13, they look to improve upon that. Maybe go 6-11. That would be a great season to me for the Texans if they can accomplish that. Get right into their schedule. Vegas has them winning only projected 4.5 wins. Could they get there? Let's see. I mean, play the Colts in week 1. They're not beating the Colts. Matt Ryan, he's here to win for the Colts this year. Not happening. We're going to run through the schedule pretty quickly. They go to the Broncos. I've discussed the AFC West. The AFC West is going to try to get every win they can out of their division. The Broncos, they're not going into Mile High and beating Russell Wilson week 2. Play the Bears in week 3. Their offense is god-awful. Justin Fields is there. He has no one to throw to. Tariq Cohen just tore his Achilles again. Nothing looks good in Chicago, especially on the offensive side. They can't score enough points to beat the Texans. Play the Chargers at home, AFC West team. They're not beating them. There's not a chance. Jags in week 5 at the Jags. I feel like the Jags, they're an improved team as well. Still bottom of the barrel between the Jags and the Texans, but I don't think they go into Jacksonville and get a win. Loss. Week 6, they already have their bye. I hate this. It's so early on. Could be good with the youth on this team. Get them reestablished after starting 1-4. Get them settled in. See what they can do for the remainder of the season. Week 7, they got the Raiders. Another AFC West. That team's too loaded for them to go into Las Vegas and get the win. Week 8, they have the Titans at home. The Titans, they have their games where they're just let down and they don't do anything. They just lose these games. They're not supposed to win. They're not supposed to lose. This could be one of them. I feel like, Texans, they're going to be trying to win every game. Titans, they could be regressing for sure. So I feel like the Texans get the win here. They have the Eagles coming into town in Week 9. I feel like there could be a closer game, but the Eagles are still too good for them to lose to the Texans. Giants in Week 11. I mean Week 10. Sorry. Giants on the come up as well. Still another bad team, but I mean I don't see the Texans beating them. They're going into New York. I don't have high hopes for the Texans doing anything there. So another loss. Week 11, they have Carson Wentz, or do they have Sam Howell? At this point, Carson Wentz is very liable to be injured or replaced by Sam Howell. Commanders probably not doing well at this point. Probably trying the Sam Howell experiment. If anything, Texans get the win against them. Week 12, they go into Miami. Miami's reloaded in this AFC that's everyone's reloaded. I don't think they go into Miami and get the win. Browns, another loss. Deshaun Watson, Jacoby Brissett, whoever's at QB doesn't really matter. That defense and the weapons surrounding the QB position's too much for the Texans to handle for sure, especially with the use all around the field. They're not getting a win there. Cowboys, another loss. I mean, I can sit here and say it over and over, but the Texans just don't have enough talent to get these wins against these teams. Chiefs, no discussion necessary. At the Titans, I have them winning that first one in Week 8, but Week 16, the Titans could be fighting for a division title at this point, or even possibly a wild card if someone in the AFC West falls off and doesn't get one of those wild card positions. Jags, they lost the first one. They're not going to lose both games to the Jags. I don't know which one they're going to lose, but they got to at least split with the Jags for sure. At least try not to be the bottom of the division. And then the Colts in Week 18. Colts probably going to be trying to win the division, try to maybe get a probably a top 2 seed. Probably not the number 1 seed, but I mean, everyone in the AFC West could be beating up on each other. Number 1 seed could be in play for the Colts. You never know. They're not coming in to lose that game. Whenever they have a home game at Lucas Oil Stadium, you can hang it up. Run through that real quick. Vegas had them at 4.5 wins. I have them at 4. Depending on what the Davis Mills situation is, they could be, people have said it, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, they could be sucking loud for Stroud by the end of the season. If Davis Mills doesn't show any promise, they could be having easily a top 3 pick. And if you have a top 3 pick, you're going to get one of those 2 quarterbacks, I'm sure, even if you have to trade up to the top 2. But 4-13 record, they could be looking for their quarterback of the future after this season. On the other episodes, I go through top 5 players at each position. Do they have any? No. I mean, no one here is good. Laramie Tunsil, maybe. Yeah, their 3 best players on their team is Laramie Tunsil, Brandin Cooks, and Derek Stingley Jr. probably. Are any of those going to be a top 3 player? I mean, a top 5 player in their position? Probably not. Top 10, I don't foresee it, but you never know. I mean, maybe Derek Stingley comes in as one of the top cornerbacks. I mean, we saw some promising cornerbacks last year in the rookie class with Asante Samuel, J.C. Horn before he broke his foot. He was looking outstanding. But Derek Stingley, I mean, if he comes in and plays like he did his freshman year, he could be a top 10 cornerback. But outside of that, I don't foresee it for sure. MVP candidates, I discussed that in other videos, but they have no one on their team. This team's a rebuild. They're just trying to do their best to compete every week and grow. Most improved player, they're hoping to see Davis Mills. Their quarterback's position, most important position, like every other team. They're trying to see growth there. I mean, this is probably his chance. If he doesn't do anything this year, they're going to move on from him. They can't take another year of regrowth, not knowing who their QB of the future is. So if it's not him, look, if they don't get 6+ wins, they're going to be taking Bryce Young or CJ Stroud in next year's draft for sure. Although it may seem unlikely, someone I would like to see take a leap, Brevin Jordan. He came on a little bit at the end of the season. He finally got his touchdowns. He was their rookie last year, 5th round pick. He's gonna get a lot of snaps this year for sure. So maybe maybe bringing in John Mechie, Damian Pierce, he could open up that short game for Brevin Jordan and see what he can do. Drop off candidate, not much to drop off when everyone's already not that great. But outside of Dameon Pierce, this running back room could drop off. Royce Freeman, he's been all around. I mean, I don't foresee anything great from him. Agumbawale, mediocre, I mean, good pass catcher, third down back. Rex Burkhead, he's old. Marlon Mack on the decline. The running back room altogether outside Dameon Pierce could be falling apart. Dameon Pierce could just win this job and run with it. No play on words intended there. But he could run, take the bell cow role in this position. Everyone else could fall off. Are they a division winner? Not a chance. It's going to be the Colts or the Texans. The Colts or the Titans. The Texans and the Jags are going to be playing for the bottom of the division, trying to avoid being last. Total wins, I already mentioned that. They're going to be 4-13, I believe. They're going to be right around that Vegas prediction for sure. Nothing special this year. Top 5 pick again next year, I'm sure. Most intriguing things, can they show that they're a season or two away from being a playoff contender? I want to see Davis Mills again come out, show that he can at least lead this team. If he shows promise, even if they don't get the wins, if he's showing promise, the defense is not great, so it's not like he's going to carry the team. But if he can show improvement and be one of the, if he's a top 20 quarterback, if he's 20th best quarterback in the league, that's promise. I think they roll with him if he can do that, especially with this group. So that's the most intriguing thing is to watch the quarterback position play out. Because if he's not any good, I mentioned it again, they're gonna move to someone else in the future. Got plenty of draft picks moving into the future, so future's bright. They just got to get the quarterback in there and build around him for sure.